Ready. And action! Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for part 2 of Lecture 7 with Professor Victor Singing Eagle in Native American Literature class here at Sisseton Wahpeton College. And without too much yickety-yak, we're going to get right into it because we are in the middle of a story, you see. And here we go, your Professor Victor Singing Eagle! Hooray! Now, part 2. We were telling the story of Sun Maiden, I guess we can call her, because she married the sun. She was a human girl, teenage girl, and the Sun Chief, the chief who lives up in a beautiful wigwam up on the sun, is very rich and wealthy, and he impregnated this girl and fell in love with her first and was watching her, from his sun palace or sun wigwam, and he sneaked down there and he got her pregnant, and then he married her and brought her up to live on the sun. That's where we left off. Now, fast forward a little bit. She's still pregnant, but the Sun Chief is what happens, these Chad weddings where the guy is all that and all proud and stuff, but there's some red flags, you see. Yes, there are. Mr. Sun Chief was a jealous man. You know what I mean? One of those kind. He was a control freak. He wanted to control his wife. Tell her when she could eat, when she could sleep, where she could go. And if anybody ever looked at her, any guy ever looked at her, he got jealous. So I'd hate to use that word abuse, because we abuse that word in modern times, do we not? Let us just say that he didn't treat his wife very well, and she got lonely living way up there in the sky, in the Sun Chief's lodge. And she started missing home, and she told her husband, I miss my family down on earth. And he said, you are now my family is here. Here in this palace, in this beautiful lodge, you've got everything you ever wanted. How can you miss home? You stay here. He was just really controlling, okay? And he got mad at her. By the way, she's starting to get afraid of him, you see, because he used to carry a ring. And this ring, he could set it on fire, and whenever somebody angered him, he would take that ring and throw it. Blam! And kill his enemy or whoever displeased him. Imagine Darth Vader, but in gold or something, everybody was afraid of him because he was a mean chieftain. Now, the Sun Maiden, the young girl that he's married, she's still pregnant, and she's starting to miss home so much, and she decides she's going to sneak away. She's going to find a way to get a rope or something, or whatever possible. She weave a rope and lower it down to the earth, and she's going to climb down. So that's what she does. She gets some help from some others, and of course, once the Sun Chief finds out, he kills them all with his ring, but we'll get to that in a second. We want to stay focused on the Sun Maiden herself. She climbs down, and she's climbing, and the Sun Chief is like, where's my wife? Where's my wife? And his servants are all cowering, and the ones who were guilty of helping her to make the rope to climb down, they fessed up, and the Sun Chief took his ring and boom, and killed him. And the ring would always, like a boomerang, it'd come back to him, right? Okay, there we go. So, once he finds out that his wife is climbing down the rope, he runs over to there's a hole in the sky, and he sees his wife climbing, and she's pregnant, of course, and he takes his ring, and he's so angry with her, and he throws it at her, whack, and knocks her off the rope, and she falls to the earth, and she's dead. However, the story's not over yet, you see, because an old woman comes along and she sees this dead, young, beautiful, dead, pregnant not sure, girl and laying in the snow, but next to her or beneath her is a ball of blood in the snow, a spot of blood in the snow. She must have given birth before she died or something. And the old woman, comes down and she scoops up the snow and wraps it in a blanket, this red ball of blood, and she wraps it in blankets and takes it to her lodge. And sure enough, it matures and it turns out to be a little boy. And the little boy was a bad little boy. There's more stories about this. I don't have enough time to tell you the whole story, but he was kind of naughty. And he gave his adopted grandmother no end of grief because he was such a brat, you see. Now, one of the things that he did, he still had his father's ring, the, the ring that could catch on fire. And he liked to take the ring and he would throw it up in the sky and catch it, and throw it up in the sky and catch it. And his grandmother, adopted grandmother, said, "You young man, you shouldn't do that. It's dangerous. That ring is dangerous. It's from the spirit world, and you're going to cause something terrible going to happen. Just listen to your grandmother." And the little boy was a brat. He wouldn't listen. He kept throwing it up in the sky and catching it. One time he threw it up way up, and he tried to catch it and he missed it, and it went boom and hit him right on the top of the head. Now, if he was a normal little boy, of course he would have died, but you see, he's part divine. And guess what the ring did to him? It split him in two. Now there's two bad little boys, and the old lady's like, "Oh no, too bad." And they each had their own rings. They each had their own rings. And now they were twice double trouble. Now that's the story. These boys turned out to be heroes. And they went around the earth, even though they were brats, they went around saving the people, the Indian people, the animal people, the plant people, the stone people, from various monsters. That's another story for another time. But they were very formidable warriors, and eventually there's more to the story, how they ended up being immortal and moving to the heavens, but we'll tell that story another time. Because, how are we doing on time? Oh man, I think I already went 12 minutes, didn't I? Nope, 7 minutes and 53 seconds. Tell you what, we'll stop it there, and I'm going to jump on into the rest of today's lecture. Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.